Liddell shares details about Dorothy Cooper's early life, noting she was born in 1909 as Dorothy Furstein. In 1942, she married her childhood sweetheart, Jules Furstein. 2 years earlier, Jules had become a widower and single father to 2 young daughters after his wife, Molly, passed away during childbirth. Jules was left to raise his 2 daughters, Myrna and Marcy, on his own. After marrying Dorothy, she gave birth to their son, Edward, who would be her only child. Friends and neighbors described Dorothy as a cheerful and outgoing woman who deeply loved her family, and their marriage was considered happy. When the couple first began dating, Jules worked as a clerk for the municipal council but was later appointed as a magistrate in 1943. After their marriage, Dorothy and Jules settled into a 3-story house on North Franklin Street in Philadelphia. On January 25, 1945, 36-year-old Dorothy left her children with a neighbor to run errands. That evening, she returned home to discover that someone had broken into her house. During the struggle, Dorothy accidentally knocked the telephone off its base. The operator, alarmed by the sounds coming from Dorothy's end of the line, immediately contacted the authorities. The intruder fled upon hearing police sirens, leaving Dorothy gravely injured. She had been brutally beaten, suffering fractures to her jaw and nose, a concussion, and a shattered shoulder. Fortunately, Dorothy survived the attack and made a full recovery. However, when questioned by authorities, she was unable to identify or describe her assailant. She told detectives, "Someone jumped out at me. I couldn't recognize who it was. He struck me repeatedly." Investigators found the situation highly unusual, as nothing had been stolen from the house and there were no signs of forced entry. After talking to nearby residents, police learned that they had another witness, but this time she was unable to name or describe the attacker. The neighbor gave her account of seeing someone either accompanying Mrs. Furstein or trailing close behind as she made her way to the front door. The neighbor, however, didn't pay much attention because she didn't find it noteworthy. Only after Dorothy's attack became widely publicized did the witness start to think that what she had witnessed might be significant. Following the events of that evening, the 36-year-old mother of 3 turned inward and withdrawn. Dorothy became extremely sensitive to sudden noises, even minor ones, and developed a habit of meticulously securing all windows and doors each night. Although it took her several years to regain her former appearance, further tragedy lay ahead. On October 18, 1949, Jules left home to attend a political banquet, while Myrna, the couple's 19-year-old eldest daughter, went to spend the night at a friend's house. Around 9 p.m., Dorothy called a friend to arrange a shopping trip for the following day. Reportedly, Jules called Dorothy that evening, but accounts differ. Current reports claim that he spoke with his wife on the phone from 5 to 6 p.m. He was preparing to leave his office and go to the dinners at this point. Older newspaper cuttings from 1949, however, state that he called her at approximately 10 p.m., which is almost 1 hour before he got home. Nonetheless, the papers do concur that when he called, Dorothy appeared to be doing just great and in high spirits. When Jules returned home around 11 p.m., he was shocked to find Marcy and Edward alone in a bedroom. The 2 children were huddled together, visibly terrified and crying. "Mommy's gone," they sobbed. Alarmed by their words, Jules searched the house for Dorothy but found no trace of her. Desperate, he called several of her friends to see if anyone had seen or heard from her, but the only person who had any contact with Dorothy that evening was the friend she had made plans with earlier. Jules called the local police captain and explained the issue, fearing for his wife's safety. The search team was mobilized in a matter of hours. The surrounding area and beyond were thoroughly searched. Detectives shared Dorothy's account with law enforcement agencies in 8 eastern states as they scoured motels, morgues, and mental health facilities nationwide for any evidence of the 40-year-old, but they were never successful. The sole lead for law enforcement came from 9-year-old Marcy, who said she had been awakened in the middle of the night by a noise. About 15 minutes before Jules arrived home, Marcy had left her room and stepped into the hallway. There, she saw a middle-aged man, approximately her father's age, ascend the stairs and enter her mother's bedroom. Marcy later told the police that her mother appeared unwell, as she saw her lying unconscious on the floor. Moments later, the man lifted Dorothy, draped her over his shoulder, and carried her downstairs. Dorothy, 40 years old at the time, remained motionless as the man, wearing a brown peaked cap, disappeared with her. The man gave Marcy a pat on the head and said, "Go back to sleep, little one." When she asked what he was doing, "Your mother is doing well." Marcy remembered that this was the man's first time seeing him. Investigators were skeptical of this account at first because they knew that toddlers were prone to having irrational and hyperactive imaginations. However, it was established that the young child seemed to be telling the truth after Marcy saw a psychiatrist. Notably, no objects were removed from the scene in either of the kidnapping or assault incidents, ruling out robbery as a motive. There were never any indications of forced entry, and no odd prints were discovered within the house. Actually, it's thought that the man who took Dorothy shut the front door behind him as he left. The case is made even more strange by these details. In Dorothy's case, there aren't many theories. Investigators quickly acknowledged that, even in the early days following the 40-year-old's disappearance, they had no clues. Newspaper articles from 1949 claim that the authorities speculated that she might have suffered from amnesia, but they don't explain why. A prominent theory surrounding Dorothy's case is that she was attacked and subsequently kidnapped by an individual harboring resentment towards her spouse, Jules. Morris Ameth has been identified as a potential suspect. A textile seller claims that 2 police officers beat him for 20 minutes after removing him from a violent throng. He was fined $10 and accused of multiple infractions. Subsequently, he brought charges of assault and battery against the police officers who had allegedly attacked him. However, Jules, who at the time was a magistrate, dismissed them. But there was never any proof linking Ameth to the location of the kidnapping or the assault. According to a different allegation, Jules bribed someone to hurt his wife. The theory put forth by armchair detectives is that Dorothy was supposed to die in the initial attacks, but she survived because of a lucky break. A hired hitman was therefore paid to go back to the scene and do the job. It has been noted, nevertheless, that if Dorothy had just vanished, Jules would have known how long it would take him to declare her dead or gain access to any of her belongings. It would have been preferable for him had his wife's body been discovered if this strategy was going to work. It has also been proposed that Dorothy may have staged her disappearance to avoid living in constant fear, possibly as a result of financial difficulties. Some have speculated that she left her kids behind to avoid being charged with kidnapping if she was found, or perhaps she thought she had a better chance of vanishing if she traveled alone. In 2003, an American Hauntings blogger talked about Dorothy's case. However, a kind and non-threatening letter was sent to them after they posted their section by a lawyer representing the Furstein family requesting that the post be taken down. These demands reportedly came from other blogs and media sites that had covered the subject at this time. The Furstein family's objection to a further investigation into the case is not apparent. Even while it might be their intention to avoid reopening previous wounds, this seems like an odd course of action. Jules offered a $1,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in the wake of the disappearance, but he later withdrew this money because he needed it. It's interesting to note that Jules left his children a $4,906 fortune when he passed away in 1956. That is the equivalent of about $50,000 in modern currency. In the meanwhile, when Dorothy vanished in 1949, her assets were estimated to be worth $9,946 or a little more than $125,000 today. Securities discovered in her security deposit box soon after her disappearance constituted the majority of her assets. Internet detectives have speculated as to whether Dorothy's disappearance was related to her assets or the couple's financial strain at the time of her abduction. Dorothy was pronounced legally dead a year after Jules passed away. Myrna, her oldest stepdaughter, submitted a petition, which served as the foundation for the judge's ruling. Nevertheless, the case is still open. Moving on to the next mystery, the Thompson family. In 1996, 40-year-old Everett Arthur Thompson was regarded as a philanthropic, devoted, and diligent spouse and parent. He was born in March 1956 to Herman and Eileen Thompson in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He was the second oldest of 6 children. He was a gifted trombone player in the Hampton Institute School Band in high school and an athlete. After that, he relocated to Chicago, where he met Lydia White while working for a company that manufactured steel. After being married in 1982, the pair stayed in the Chicago region. Everett Jr., age 11, and Andrew, age 8, were their 2 children. In the end, Everett Sr. quit his work to follow his dreams of becoming a restaurant owner and opened Eat and Company on Chicago's Lawrence Avenue and 71st Street. The Eat represented his name. The family was well established in their residence in the 81100 block of South Rhodes Avenue, and their peaceful, friendly demeanor was well known to the neighbors. They also tended to keep to themselves. However, things changed when Lydia's brother Kenneth moved in with them in February 1996. He had just served a sentence for sexual assault and was out of prison. It was known that he had a lengthy criminal past, including 2 burglary convictions and 4 sexual assault convictions. Living with her father was not ideal, but Lydia did have a place to call home. The property had been bequeathed equally to Lydia, her brother, and Phyllis, the pair's New Mexico residing sister. She was therefore unable to just throw Kenneth out of the house. Kenneth was, by all accounts, unwelcome by the Thompson family, a belligerent and abrasive man who had only caused trouble since arriving. Everett's brother-in-law was characterized by his family as a freeloading house guest. Lydia dialed 911 on July 3, 1996 after Kenneth had threatened to kill her with an axe. Lieutenant Robert Harsheimer of the Chicago Police Department stated that when law enforcement officials reached the area to defuse the situation, they discovered it was peaceful and quiet. According to Harsheimer, there was no continuous issue, nothing very noteworthy. The quiet prevented the police from making any arrests. Then, on July 5, 2 days later, Herman Thompson contacted his son when he was at the restaurant. The two spoke briefly before Lydia called Everett. She desperately pleaded with her husband to return home, saying that she had locked herself in the bedroom and that Kenneth had followed her throughout the house with an axe. In order to go home, Everett quickly told his father about the phone call and hung up. It was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when one of his staff members noticed him leave the restaurant. Everett and the other Thompson family members were never seen again after that. 2 hours later, Kenneth came into the restaurant to inform a manager that Everett had been taken into custody after a vehicle accident. Without providing any further details, he departed once more and got into Everett's van. Just before Kenneth left, the manager saw that his white trainers had crimson streaks on them. After not hearing from the family since July 5, 12 days later on July 17, Everett's parents, who were still living in Philadelphia, requested that the Chicago police do a welfare check on them. Officers searched the family's residence, but were unable to locate the Thompsons. Kenneth was the one who responded. The family had moved to Philadelphia, he informed the cops. It's puzzling that detectives didn't probe this further, given that Everett's parents, who live in Philadelphia, were the ones who first got in touch with them. Officers didn't look into it further because they believed the Thompsons had taken the family vehicle on their trip because it was also missing. They believed that there was no proof of foul play at this time. Kenneth provided several different versions of the family's whereabouts throughout the course of the following few weeks. He mentioned that they had traveled to Philadelphia by bus, that they had traveled by bus to Minneapolis, or that they had traveled to Hawaii. Even though he didn't bother to verify his account, law enforcement did not intervene. Kenneth was ultimately taken into custody while operating the Thompson family van. Because he had forged Lydia's signature on a check, he was caught. Officers failed to draw the connection between Kenneth's driving the van and his prior assertion that family members had used the vehicle to travel to Philadelphia. He was therefore never questioned again at this time, and the van was never examined or searched. Everett's parents, fed up with the police's lack of interest in the matter, traveled to Chicago in search of clarification. They looked into the disappearance on their own and talked to Eat and Company staff members, but they were unable to uncover any fresh information. When they were unable to find anything useful, they went back to the police and asked them to look into the matter. At that point, the manager of the restaurant where Kenneth had spoken on July 5, disclosed their brief conversation to the police. However, Everett's arrest or involvement in an accident that day were not documented by the detectives. After investigating the case further, police found that Kenneth had faked the signatures of both of his sisters in order to sell their father's property after the Thompsons vanished. A state inspector who had seen the house just before it was sold noted that the kitchen floor had been totally torn out and that one bathroom, bathtub, and toilet had been painted crimson. Officers who had reacted to Lydia's 911 call on July 3 had inspected the property at the time and noted the kitchen floor was intact and there were no red bathroom fixtures, leading them to assume that these changes had been made after the family vanished. But the new owners had already moved in and started destroying the house for remodeling when law enforcement discovered that it was illegal. Kenneth was interviewed multiple times throughout the course of the ensuing months, but the police never had sufficient evidence to make an arrest. He relocated to a caravan in Gary, Indiana not long after his father's house was sold. About a year after the family had disappeared, in July 1997, Kenneth's caravan was investigated by the FBI. They discovered a pair of men's tennis sneakers inside. One of the children's socks was under the crawl area. Test results indicated that the blood on both was human after it was dyed. Additionally, it was found that Kenneth had sold the van belonging to the Thompson family to a salvage yard and that the van had been compacted, erasing any possible evidence. November 1997, a few months later, saw Kenneth's arrest for not registering as a sex offender. After being freed, he was detained once more for bank fraud the next month. He had written a check for more than $13,000 under Lydia's name. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jacqueline Ross, the prosecution, stated that Kenneth had killed the Thompson family with an axe at the court hearing regarding his fraud charges. The surrounding circumstances offer compelling evidence, she added. The accused person killed his sister, her spouse, and their 2 kids. The government maintains that although bank fraud is the offense, the murders were committed in furtherance of that crime. The prosecution and investigators have proposed the notion that Lydia and Kenneth's father's property became available to them during Kenneth's prison sentence. His sister and her family had already moved in by the time he was freed. Kenneth made the decision to kill the family in order to obtain what he wanted. Maybe because he was angry about having to share the house, or maybe he was just interested in the money he could make from selling it. Kenneth committed suicide on December 25, 1997 at 4 in the morning while confined to his jail cell in the Federal Metropolitan Correctional Center in Chicago using a bedsheet. He didn't leave any instructions or clues that could point detectives in the direction of the Thompson family's remains. Although the family was killed between July 5 and July 6, 1996, according to law enforcement, there was never enough evidence to prosecute Kenneth White. Regretfully, if authorities had taken action sooner, there may have been evidence. The investigation might have been hampered by the fact that it took 12 days before they were ever reported missing. There was no indication of human remains in either Kenneth's caravan or the family house. There is still no explanation for the Thompson family's disappearance. Vicki Johnson. On January 3, 1991, Seashore City Police arrived at Sabato Park, California, on a chilly morning. When they discovered 34-year-old Vicki Johnson's lifeless body spread out on the sandy playground, the sun had just begun to rise. It had ended horribly for Vicki in the middle of the park. Her mutilated body showed the agonizing marks of a horrific mutilation. A large amount of sand had obstructed her airways, causing her to be strangled and smothered. She was subjected to horrific torture as evidenced by the bite marks the offender left all over her body. Her clothing was torn, and some of it had been burned along with the top portion of her body. The scenario depicted a terrifying image of a woman going through unspeakable suffering. Her life was brutally taken in a way that was incomprehensible. Investigators were appalled by the attack's severity, and the town was left in a state of shock and terror. In the 1990s, Seaside City, California gained an unfavorable image as a hostile neighborhood due to its widespread use of illegal substances and high crime rate that persisted until the early 2000s. The unfriendly character of the community was further enhanced by this specific case. This was an unusual episode amid the out-of-control gang warfare. Unlike many others impacted by the fighting, Vicki Johnson was not affiliated with any gangs. The body of Vicki Johnson was found lying in plain sight in the popular park. The murderer made no attempt to conceal the body. However, nobody had contacted the police. There were no eyewitnesses in the field. The community's terrifying culture of fear was brought to light by the quiet surrounding the crime scene. Back then, calling the police seemed like a really brave thing for a witness to do. Vicki Johnson had battled bravely for her life in spite of her severe injuries and agony. There was blood all over her flesh under her fingernails. It was not her blood, but the offender's. Recognizing the possible evidence, detectives took clippings of her fingernails in the hopes of finding crucial hints. Beneath her nails, a significant amount of alien DNA was found. However, when it was put through the 1990s crime database, nothing matched. Justice appeared elusive, and leads were few. In the icy shadow of doubt, the case vanished for more than 32 agonizing years. But in 2021, when Vicki Johnson's fingernail skin was tested for DNA at the California Department of Justice, a ray of hope appeared. The road to justice turned out to be very crooked. Handling cold cases comes with frustrating systemic obstacles, such as backlogs and inadequate staffing within the forensic system. But in 2023, 2 years later, the Justice Crime Laboratory discovered an important finding, a genetic match made to Frank Louis McClure. His information was entered into the National Codes database, and he was once incarcerated. The connection to this DNA match gave the case additional momentum. Even though McClure's DNA connected him to the crime scene, Vicki's cause of death was still unknown. But McClure's past revealed a horrifying tale of brutality. Frank Louis McClure's criminal history dates back to 1990 and includes offenses like resisting arrest and causing serious bodily harm. This history was furthered in 1994 when the suspect violated probation by using a deadly weapon in a battery and fighting at home, earning a 4-year jail sentence. McClure was involved in domestic fighting and beating with a lethal weapon in the same year as the 1991 event. In particular, charges of domestic violence included the most common ones against him, which happened in 1990, the previously stated 1991 case, 1994, 1999, and 2011, to name a few. His relationship with Vicki Johnson was still not entirely clear, which left a crucial piece of the story missing. The reason behind the two's connection would remain a mystery until McClure, who was 77 years old, died in 2021 from natural causes. With his death, he would never have to answer for the crime. Police thought he died quietly in his beachside home, escaping punishment completely. The questioned DNA technology is not brand new. He might have been captured alive if this testing had been conducted 10 years earlier. He was dead by the time the authorities apprehended him. Frank Louis McClure was descended from a well-known family in the neighborhood. He was not praised for his character, though. Residents of the coast were taken aback by his link to the incident. Longtime Seaside resident Mark Vaughn spoke for everyone when he expressed amazement and sadness. Vaughn, who had gone to Fremont Junior High with Vicki, recalled her gentle disposition and the previously lovely ambience of her family. Vicki struggled with addiction in her last years. A use of illegal substances appears to be the main factor separating them. The situation is complicated, as we don't fully understand the extent of the suspect's connection, and the suspect is now deceased. However, the investigation is still active, leaving room for a close associate of McClure to provide crucial information. There is still hope that someone McClure confided in will come forward and share the truth about his actions. In an appeal to the public, Seaside Police urge anyone with knowledge of unresolved cold cases in the area to step forward and contact the department at 831-899-6748. Solving a cold case is not solely about reaching a conclusion, it also plays a crucial role in preventing future tragedies. By resolving these cases, local law enforcement creates a strong deterrent. When potential offenders see that authorities have a history of successfully solving even the most challenging crimes, they are likely to think twice before committing illegal acts. Orlando Johnson, a former NBA player, and the youngest of Vicki Johnson's 3 sons, continues to honor and carry forward her legacy. Orlando was only a year old when his mother was taken from him and his family. It is our heartfelt hope that this vital revelation will provide her loved ones with the much-needed closure they deserve. If you're fascinated by Unsolved Mysteries and enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up to stay updated on all our latest content. Moving on to the next mystery. It's no secret that the ancient Egyptians were known to build tombs and pyramids to house and preserve the dead, particularly for those they regarded as especially honorable and held in high regard. Even though mummies are usually the first thing that spring to mind when someone hears the word tomb, there are other things that can be found inside a tomb. Other items like food, tools, clothes, jewelry, and even pets are frequently found next to the meticulously wrapped corpse or mummy. The reason for this is that it aligned with the beliefs that the ancient Egyptians had and spread about the afterlife. Instead of thinking of once you passed away as a stopping point, in the eyes of ancient Egyptians, loss of life was a continuation point. They preferred the belief of an afterlife to which passing away served as a doorway. They believed that the deceased souls would encompass a series of judgments before Osiris, whom they believed to be the god governing the afterlife. The deceased member would have to successfully pass to be awarded a paradise-like afterlife experience. This is also one of the reasons for the infamous magnificent inscriptions and illustrations found alongside the walls of tombs. Tombs were often erected far prior to the person passing away as a preparation for their impending, inevitable conclusion on earth. This is precisely why so much thought reasoned for one particular discovery in Tam's tomb. Dating back to the 13th century BC, Tams was an esteemed official governing an ancient Egyptian society. Due to his high rank and positioning, naturally, a tomb was erected in his honor. His tomb was first discovered back in 1885, but ended up being unfortunately lost for 2 centuries due to strong sandstorms that masked the site. However, in 2010, archaeologists were once again reunited with his tomb site, and this time with much better luck as they have managed to do a better job of salvaging their finds. As thrilling as it was to come across Tam's tomb after what was thought to have been a discovery forever lost, there was something else about this tomb that stood out to archaeologists. As archaeologists were dusting sand off the artifacts they had found, they got their hands on one particular jar that appeared to have a great quantity of some type of mysterious residue. After some further analysis conducted to identify what the substance was, the results came back identifying it to be none other than cheese. The fact that the ancient Egyptians consumed and manufactured cheese, a delicious delight that many of us in the present era also enjoy, was one of the discoveries that provided insight into their diets. Most likely, goat or sheep's milk was used to make the cheese. It is anticipated that in its fresh state, it would have tasted slightly acidic and had a soft, mushy consistency that was simple to spread. The study of the cheese not only verified that it was cheese, but it also identified the presence of a bacterium that causes brucellosis, an infectious condition. Moving on to the next mystery. In the vast, unexplored expanse of the ocean, a hidden world remained shrouded in mystery waiting to be discovered. It was in the remote waters of the Pacific where an astonishing find was made, thanks to the curiosity of an amateur explorer using Google Earth. Driven by an insatiable desire to uncover the unknown, the observer meticulously scoured the satellite imagery, uncovering something extraordinary beneath the surface. This discovery, made by a keen eye, would soon captivate the imaginations of many and challenge our understanding of the world beneath the waves. He spent countless hours navigating the virtual globe, seeking hidden treasures and anomalies that would ignite his sense of wonder. As he pored over the imagery of the Pacific Ocean, his gaze fixated on a remote section far from any human settlement. An enormous object caught his attention. He described it as a massive structure nestled on the ocean floor, its size and shape defying explanation. Intrigued, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had stumbled upon something truly significant. He decided to share it on social media so others could look at it. Driven by his curiosity, he wanted to know what this strange object was and how it was able to change direction on the ocean floor. According to him, The object that can be seen at the end of the trail looks to be in the shape of a pyramid. He said that the mysterious structure doesn't match anything else in the area and wanted to post it online so that others could put forward their own theories for what they thought it could be. The user who found it said that the possibilities seemed endless, suggesting that it could have been an ancient temple, an underwater city, or evidence of an advanced civilization predating recorded history. As of right now, he said that it's important to note that pyramids have been uncovered all over the world and caused him to suggest that there could be pyramids submerged at the bottom of the ocean. If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries and enjoying the videos so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up to stay updated on all our latest content. The scale of discoveries made in recent years by scientists has completely transformed the way we view our oceans, so we should remain receptive to the potential of marine exploration. In the watery depths, entire civilizations have been lost over time, leaving behind our inspiring constructions on par with cutting-edge modern engineering. Denying the accomplishments of past generations is unfair. And until we have explored all the uncharted ocean territories, it is quite feasible that large structures could be lurking beneath the waves. As noted, it is intriguing to see what appears to be a large object at the end of what appears to be an artificial track. It is noteworthy that those who have viewed the images have observed that the areas surrounding the structure appear to be blurred, indicating that an organization may have intentionally done this to obscure details about it. It is widely known that certain organizations alter photographs prior to their public release. It has been acknowledged that specific regions on Google Earth have been obscured due to security concerns. Certain locations may not be visible to the public eye as they are restricted areas that authorities have deemed off-limits. Consequently, these areas are obscured with intentional blurring or black boxes to prevent any further disclosure of details. This may refer to sites that are restricted from public access, such as government establishments. The query that arises is what the intention is behind obscuring something in the ocean, and why numerous uncanny objects feature blurred markings. As of right now, various theories have been put forward to explain what these objects are, including artificial structures, monuments that have been lost to the waves, and giant pyramids. There's countless interesting ocean discoveries that are being made each year, and one of these are underwater supervolcanoes. An underwater supervolcano is an awe-inspiring force of nature capable of unleashing immense power and causing widespread devastation. While the eruption of a supervolcano on land is well documented and understood, the eruption of such a volcano beneath the ocean's surface presents its own unique set of challenges and potential consequences. Imagining the scenario of an underwater supervolcano eruption allows us to explore the potential impacts on the marine environment and human populations. Firstly, an underwater supervolcano eruption would release an enormous amount of magma, gases, and volcanic ash into the surrounding water column. The sudden discharge of molten rock and gases would generate intense heat, leading to the formation of superheated plumes and steam explosions. These powerful eruptions would create a turbulent and hazardous environment for marine life. The immediate impact on marine ecosystems would be devastating. The release of volcanic ash and gases, such as sulfur dioxide, would lead to acidification of the surrounding waters. This change in pH levels would have profound effects on the delicate balance of marine organisms, particularly those with calcareous shells or skeletons such as corals and shellfish. The acidification would disrupt their ability to build and maintain their protective structures, leading to widespread mortality and ecological imbalance. Furthermore, the rapid injection of volcanic material into the ocean would cause a sudden increase in water temperature. This rise in temperature would create thermal stress, potentially causing mass bleaching of coral reefs and the death of other sensitive marine organisms. The subsequent decline in biodiversity could have cascading effects throughout the food chain, impacting the abundance and distribution of marine species. The eruption of an underwater supervolcano would also release large quantities of volcanic ash into the atmosphere. Unlike ash from land-based eruptions, which can settle relatively close to the source, ash from underwater eruptions would disperse over vast distances carried by ocean currents and atmospheric winds. This ash can pose a significant threat to human health as fine particulate matter can cause respiratory problems, visibility issues, and potential air traffic disruptions. In addition to the immediate effects on marine ecosystems and human health, an underwater supervolcano eruption would have broader environmental consequences. The release of gases, including sulfur dioxide, into the atmosphere would lead to the formation of aerosols and sulfuric acid clouds. These clouds would reflect sunlight back into space, resulting in a temporary cooling effect on the Earth's surface. This phenomenon, known as volcanic winter, can lead to a decrease in global temperatures and altered weather patterns. The long-term effects of an underwater supervolcano eruption on climate would depend on the scale and duration of the eruption. Large-scale eruptions have the potential to inject significant amounts of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere, which can persist for months or even years. The resulting cooling effect could disrupt agricultural practices, leading to crop failures and food shortages. Changes in precipitation patterns could also impact water resources and alter the distribution of ecosystems worldwide. Societal impacts would be significant in the aftermath of an underwater supervolcano eruption. Coastal communities located near the eruption site would face immediate dangers, including tsunamis generated by the displacement of water and potential pyroclastic flows. The destruction of marine habitats and fisheries could have severe economic consequences for communities dependent on ocean resources. International cooperation and preparedness would be essential to mitigate the impacts of an underwater supervolcano eruption. Monitoring systems capable of detecting precursory signs of volcanic activity would be critical for issuing timely warnings and evacuating vulnerable populations. Collaborative efforts in disaster response, scientific research, and the development of resilient strategies would be crucial to address the complex challenges posed by such an event. The ocean, covering approximately 71% of the Earth's surface, is a vast and mysterious realm that holds countless wonders waiting to be discovered. Despite centuries of exploration and scientific advancements, much of the ocean remains unexplored, hiding secrets and surprises in its depths. Understanding the extent of unexplored areas is a complex task, but current knowledge and ongoing research suggest that a significant portion of the ocean remains unknown to us. One of the key factors contributing to the ocean's unexplored nature is its immense size. The ocean encompasses 5 major basins: the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, Southern, and Arctic Oceans. Each of these basins is vast, with depths ranging from a few meters in coastal areas to several kilometers in the open ocean. The combined area of these basins, including their numerous underwater mountain ranges, trenches, and abyssal plains, presents an enormous challenge for comprehensive exploration. Furthermore, the ocean's extreme depths pose significant technological and logistical hurdles. The pressure and darkness in the deep sea demand specialized equipment and vehicles capable of withstanding tremendous pressures and providing adequate lighting for observation. Deep sea exploration requires submersibles, remotely operated vehicles, and autonomous underwater vehicles to access and study the abyssal depths where conditions are harsh and such as fisheries and mineral deposits. However, as the depth increases beyond the continental shelves into the abyssal plains and trenches, the challenges multiply and our knowledge becomes progressively limited. The Mariana Trench, located in the western Pacific Ocean, is a prime example of an unexplored region. It is the deepest part of the world's oceans, reaching depths of over 10,900 meters or 35,800 feet. In addition to depth, the ocean's vastness and remoteness further contribute to its unexplored nature. Large areas, such as the Southern Ocean surrounding Antarctica, remain largely inaccessible due to extreme weather conditions, sea ice and isolation. These regions present formidable challenges to researchers and limit opportunities for extensive exploration. Advancements in technology have allowed scientists to explore the ocean more extensively in recent years. Sophisticated sonar systems, satellite imaging, and improved underwater robotics have enhanced our ability to map the seafloor and gather data remotely. However, these technologies are limited in their capacity to provide detailed information about specific habitats, ecosystems, and the myriad species that inhabit them. Moving on to the next mystery. In recent years, the discovery of incredible artifacts around the world has challenged our understanding of history. These finds, many of which are highly controversial, have the potential to rewrite what we know about ancient civilizations and their practices. From intricate jewelry and pottery to artworks and stones, these items offer a glimpse into the past that often defies current historical knowledge. Some artifacts, in particular, have left even the most seasoned archaeologists puzzled, raising questions about how advanced ancient societies were, and whether our traditional timelines need to be re-evaluated. With each new discovery, the mysteries of the past continue to unfold, offering more intriguing clues about the lost chapters of human history. Each time we find something new, it brings out many questions. Most of them remain unanswered, but we still hope to get a bit more information that could help us resolve the puzzle. A few years back, scientists discovered a 40,000-year-old artifact. After first seeing the objects, they couldn't work out what it was. However, after further study, it turned out to be a bracelet. Further studies, however, showed that this wasn't any ordinary bracelet. It was created by ancient people who appeared to be much more advanced than first thought. The piece of jewelry, which experts claim to be the oldest ever found, is even more unique because of the sophistication used to make it. Archaeologists have said its creator used revolutionary technology for the time period, including a tool similar to a modern drill. Dr. Didienko, director of the Institute of Archaeology, said the following: "The ancient master was skilled in techniques previously considered not characteristic for the Paleolithic era, such as speed drilling, boring tool-type grinding, and polishing with lever and skins of varying degree of tanning. This artifact was discovered close to the Denisova cave in Siberia. This site is named after the Denisova people, and it's a place known to have well-preserved remains. This new evidence has given us an insight into how these ancient people crafted. The skills used to create the bracelet was so advanced that researchers originally believed it must have somehow gotten mixed up with materials for a much later period. The bracelet was discovered in 2008. Scientists put it through over 7 years of testing and confirmed it was made over 31,000 years before the Stone Age even began. The researchers said the skills of its creator were perfect, and there was someone who was very skilled in what they did. It was even speculated at one point it was made by modern humans. It's now known that its creator was an extremely gifted Denisovan. It's discoveries like this that show us how intelligent previous civilizations were. The bracelet is currently displayed at the Museum of History and Cultures of the People of Siberia and the Far East of Russia. Moving on to the next mystery. The Point Lookout Lighthouse, located in the town of Scotland in Maryland, is renowned for its long history of paranormal activity. Many paranormal investigators consider it one of the most haunted locations in the United States, with reports of ghostly encounters dating back for years. Witnesses have described seeing both male and female apparitions that appear suddenly only to vanish before they can be captured in photographs or seen by others. The eerie atmosphere surrounding the lighthouse, combined with its history, has led many visitors, including skeptics, to believe that something supernatural may be at play. The stories of mysterious lights, phantom footsteps, and unsettling apparitions continue to fuel the legend of the haunted Point Lookout Lighthouse. Doors will often open and close, slamming them shut. And people have also reported hearing noises of heavy footsteps running up and down the lighthouse, along with shouting, screaming, whispering, and even snoring. Many have speculated that this could be due to the fact that many years ago, the spot was once used as a hospital and prison camp for Confederate soldiers during the time of the Civil War. Although the lighthouse went out of operation back in 1985, it still holds an incredible piece of history that can be heard in the hallways of the lookout. Moving on to the next mystery. A fascinating aspect of the universe is the way galaxies are distributed, revealing that they are not evenly spread throughout space. Instead, galaxies tend to clump together in vast clusters, creating large voids in between these cosmic groupings. One such void is known as the Great Void, a massive empty region near our galaxy that is largely devoid of galaxies. This void challenges the common assumption that galaxies form neat, contiguous structures. Instead, the universe's galaxies are scattered and grouped in irregular patterns, creating a cosmic landscape of clusters and expansive voids. This uneven distribution of galaxies has profound implications for our understanding of the universe's structure, expansion, and evolution. We are part of something dubbed the Local Group, which consists of our very own Milky Way and the nearby Andromeda Galaxy with a cluster of tiny dwarf galaxies surrounding us. It is close to the Milky Way that the local void resides. The local void is a structure in our cosmic neighborhood, so to speak, that contains nearly no galaxies proper, dwarf, or otherwise. The Milky Way borders the void directly. Our galaxy, however, is moving further away from the void at about 260 kilometers per second. This is a result of the fact that matter attracts matter. This is also the reason as to why such voids exist. Because of the way gravity works, matter clumps together, thus leaving chunks of space completely devoid of anything at all. These voids thus only increase in their size as time goes on and more matter compacts together. Nothingness in space is significantly more common than galaxies or stars or planets. The Cosmic Flows 3 chart depicts over 17,000 galaxies near our Milky Way, and it also depicts the cosmic void. The point of the cosmic flow is to showcase an accurate compendium of our observable nearby universe. The space voids are an incredibly interesting subject because learning more about them could help us better understand dark matter and how it works. Unfortunately, it is a Herculean task to try and study the local void as it resides right behind the central Milky Way, meaning seeing into it is virtually impossible as of right now. Scientists will have to find an alternative way to study the void other than visually searching for it. Researchers did, however, find a way to trace the dwarf galaxies nearby when it comes to monitoring the void. They found that the nearest dwarf galaxy to the void travels at a shocking 350 kilometers per second. This speed suggests that the size of the void must be immense. For the faster something travels away from the void, the weaker its gravity, thus the larger it must be. The knowledge that we live merely 1,001,500,000,000 light-years away from this enormous empty void might sound frightening for some, but fortunately, there is absolutely no risk of us getting sucked into it. It is not a black hole. It is simply an area of space that lacks matter. In a handful of centuries, we will be much further away from it. Moving on to the next mystery. In schools, we are taught that plants primarily gather energy through photosynthesis using minerals from the soil, water, and sunlight to produce the necessary sugar phosphates that enable growth. However, recent research suggests that while this remains the dominant method of energy production for plants, there may be an additional yet unidentified form of energy generation at play. This new theory challenges our current understanding and opens the door to exploring alternative mechanisms that could contribute to a plant's vitality and development. Biophysicists have theorized that it is more than possible that plants have the strange ability to talk into the small world of quantum entanglement during the photosynthesis process. In fact, scientists have discovered a group of plants that cannot be explained by classical physics alone. Researchers at UCL have identified that the energy transfer from the light-harvesting macromolecules used in photosynthesis seems to pair up with a strange feature in which the chromophores of the plant appear to vibrate at specific frequencies. Not only can this specific frequency vibration not be explained by the use of classical physics, but these strange abilities seem to coincide with theories and quantum entanglement and enhance the efficiency of the energy transfer of the photons. This could very much mean that certain plants act similar to that of miniaturized quantum computers, capable of using superposition similar to that of quantum bits to calculate the most efficient path to use for energy creation. A phenomenon that can also help to explain the plant's efficiency in energy, and the abundance of energy produced that normally should not exist. Moving on to the next mystery. For years, there have been widespread theories suggesting that the military was developing and using directed energy weapons, but these claims were often dismissed as mere rumors. However, recent revelations have confirmed that the United States military does indeed possess this technology. Directed energy weapons, which use focused energy such as lasers or microwaves to damage or disable targets, have now become a subject of serious discussion as part of military advancements. The U.S. Navy has been testing and developing directed energy weapons for several years. Directed energy weapons are weapons that emit highly focused energy, such as laser or microwave radiation to disable or destroy targets. The Navy has been working on developing this technology for a variety of applications, including ship defense, missile defense, and ground-based operations. In 2014, the Navy deployed its first shipboard laser weapon, the Laser Weapon System, aboard the USS Ponce in the Persian Gulf. The Navy has also been developing high-powered microwave weapons for use against drones and other unmanned systems. These weapons use electromagnetic energy to disrupt or disable electronics. While the use of directed energy weapons by the Navy is still in the testing and development phase, they are expected to play an increasingly important role in future military operations. As of right now, people are wondering what other technology the military has that are currently under wraps, saying that this technology was most likely about when people were talking about it several decades ago, and it's caused some to wonder what other creations are currently hidden within the military. The United States Navy said the following on their website. Directed energy weapons are defined as electromagnetic systems capable of converting chemical or electrical energy to radiated energy and focusing it on a target, resulting in physical damage that degrades, neutralizes, defeats, or destroys an adversarial capability. Navy-directed energy weapons include systems that use high-energy lasers that emit photons and high-power microwaves that release radio frequency waves. The U.S. Navy uses directed energy weapons for power projection integrated defense missions. The ability to focus the radiated energy reliably and repeatedly at range with precision and controllable effects while producing measured physical damage is the measure of directed energy weapon system effectiveness. Conversely, capabilities to increase the resilience or survivability of platforms or sailors from directed energy weapon threats, a part of the counter-directed energy weapons program. Moving on to the next mystery. The Sun, our closest star, has always been a source of fascination and wonder. Beyond its crucial role in supporting life on Earth, it has also been linked to numerous sightings of unidentified objects and mysterious phenomena. These strange objects, often captured in images and videos of the Sun, have piqued the interest of both enthusiasts and researchers, leading to debates and speculation about potential extraterrestrial activity and unexplained occurrences in our solar system. One of the most commonly reported sightings is that of unidentified objects, or anomalies appearing to interact with or move near the Sun. These sightings have been captured by various solar observation spacecraft and telescopes such as the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory and the Solar Dynamics Observatory, which are dedicated to studying the Sun and its activities. Images and videos released by these observatories show peculiar objects or anomalies that appear to be spherical, disc-shaped, or even triangular in nature. These objects sometimes exhibit unusual movement patterns or emit bright flashes of light. Some argue that these sightings could be evidence of advanced spacecraft using the Sun's energy as a power source or for other unknown purposes. However, it is important to approach these claims with critical thinking and consider alternative explanations. Many of these sightings can be attributed to image artifacts such as sensor malfunctions, cosmic rays, or pixelation errors. These factors can produce false positives or distortions in the recorded data, leading to the appearance of unidentified objects. Furthermore, the Sun is an extremely dynamic and active celestial body. It exhibits intense solar flares, prominences, and coronal mass ejections, which can generate complex plasma formations and magnetic interactions. These natural phenomena can produce visual anomalies or shapes that may be mistaken for unidentified objects. Moving on to the next mystery. According to officials in India, space debris of unknown origin was discovered in 3 nearby villages in the western state of Gujarat. Inhabitants of these villages reported finding scattered pieces of debris across the area. The origin of the debris remains uncertain, leading to speculation about whether it is from a satellite, a rocket, or other space-related objects. Authorities have been investigating the situation, and some experts suggest that the debris could be from a satellite or part of a recent space mission. However, due to the mysterious nature of the debris, further analysis and investigation are required to determine its true origin. Residents of the village had left their houses when they heard loud thudding sounds, which caused the ground to shake. Their inquisitiveness prompted them to contact the authorities regarding the fragments, which took the form of significant metallic spheres. Oddly enough, around the same time, residents reported seeing large metal spheres flying above them, describing them as being perfectly circular and making no noise. Following this, the officials dispatched the pieces for forensic examination. According to residents, the initial fragment of debris, which was a black ball weighing approximately 5 kilograms, landed in the area at 4:45 in the afternoon. According to the Indian Express, 3 peculiar fragments were found in villages that were only 15 kilometers apart from each other. The local law enforcement authorities have verified the commencement of an investigation and have deployed a team of forensic analysts to conduct an inquiry. According to Ajit Rajan, who serves as a superintendent of police in Anand, there are suspicions that the metal balls found may be debris from a satellite. According to law enforcement officials, the individuals living in the village did not report any injuries, but did report strange lights in the sky at the time of the sighting, noting that helicopters and officers soon flooded the region and collected samples of the object before quickly leaving. According to Mr. Rajan, there were no injuries or casualties reported. Fortunately, the object fell in an open area in 2 places and away from a house in Campelich. As of right now, officials said that they do not possess sufficient information to classify this particular space object, but said that eyewitnesses said that it descended from the sky and hit the ground hard. According to law enforcement officials, they intend to delay any further action until they receive a report from the forensics team. Oddly enough, there's still speculation as to what this object was, and some suggested that the strange lights seen the night before could be connected to the object that fell. As of right now, more investigations are needed in order to get to the bottom of what this mysterious object is. Moving on to the next mystery. From time to time, we encounter natural phenomena that leave even the most esteemed academics perplexed. Some of these occurrences, which may seem like they belong in a science fiction novel, hold significant relevance to the mysterious nature of our world. One such phenomenon is the transient lunar phenomena. Throughout history, many have reported observing strange changes on the moon's surface, events that resemble massive earthquakes or tectonic shifts. Additionally, bright lights and colors have been seen moving across the lunar surface or growing in intensity, further adding to the enigma. These are not just claims made by amateur astronomers either. In fact, the majority of transient lunar phenomena comes from reports made by multiple witnesses and reputable scientists. The reports detail strange occurrences on the surface of the moon that include the sudden appearance of strange foggy patches, permanent changes to the lunar landscape, gases being released causing mists and obscurations, reddish colorations, green, blue, or violet colorations, areas of the moon becoming brighter than normal, and areas of the moon becoming much darker than normal. These strange lunar phenomena led to a full-on survey and report created by Barbara Middlehost, Patrick Moore, and Winifred S. Cameron, who discovered that these reports went as far back as the 10th century, being detailed and accurate descriptions by monks and researchers from cultures around the world. Though NASA has admitted, via recent discoveries made on the moon, that gaseous excretions and asteroid impacts can occur and cause changes to the lunar surface, the transient lunar phenomena is still widely regarded as controversial. And many astronomers and scientists will refrain from reporting any sighting they make in fear of being chastised and ridiculed by the scientific community. Moving on to the next mystery. The question of whether babies and young children can see ghosts is a topic that has intrigued many. Clinical child psychologist Dr. Erin Bowe has noted that she is frequently asked this very question. While there is no definitive scientific evidence to support the idea that children can see ghosts, some experts believe that young children may have heightened sensitivity to their surroundings, which could lead to interpretations of unusual experiences as seeing spirits. Babies and toddlers are also more likely to engage in imaginative play, which can blur the lines between reality and fantasy, leading to seemingly inexplicable behaviors or reactions. This has led to ongoing debate and curiosity about the paranormal experiences of young children. After a few spooky situations, it's something Jane, a mom of 2, has wondered. She said the following: My eldest son used to sit in his cot and from about 5 months of age would be talking to someone, laughing and carrying on after he woke up. I remember it looked like he was having a conversation. What was strange is that it was different to how he would talk to me. I really believe he was playing with his older sister who had died at birth a year before he was born. It's not just Jane either. There are 100 of these types of stories. Another mom named Jennifer said the following. When my son was young, he would always have his eyes locked on the stairs. At first, it was funny, but after he did it on a regular basis, me and my husband decided to look for answers. It turned out that the previous owner had passed away in the room next to the stairs. The ghost of Castilla-La Mancha. The University of Castilla-La Mancha is at the heart of one of Spain's most unusual hauntings. Although the institution has no history of tragic events and strives to maintain a welcoming and vibrant atmosphere, numerous people have reported eerie sightings within its walls. Witnesses have claimed to see ghostly apparitions of nuns silently walking the hallways, often leaving the office of the university president in eerie single-file lines. These mysterious occurrences have intrigued students, faculty, and visitors alike, contributing to the university's reputation as a site of paranormal intrigue. Before the university was established, the building had been used as a convent for nuns following strict rules and guidelines of the Christian faith. This led to many of the nuns never leaving the convent for the majority of their life, as well as the convent never taking in many outside visitors unless they too were willing to spend the majority of their natural life within the walls of the shelter. This has led many to believe that perhaps a darker history had unfolded behind the hidden doors of the convent, and that the apparitions of the nuns are proof of this much darker nature. Others believe that the nuns could be acting like protective spirits over the university, continuing their work of God even into the afterlife, watching over the students and faculty of the school, and protecting the grounds from darker spirits. It seems surprising that the cat's purr has remained a mystery since the domestication of cats. But even in modern times, the exact cause and purpose of the sound are still not fully understood. What makes this phenomenon even more intriguing is that cats don't appear to have any specialized organ responsible for producing the purring sound. Moreover, research has suggested that the sound of a cat's purr seems to have unique, almost mystical properties. Studies have shown that damaged cells, both in cats and humans, undergo a rapid healing process when exposed to the sound of a purr. This phenomenon remains unexplained, adding to the mystique of the cat's enigmatic behavior. Not only this, but the specific frequency at which cats purr all seem to cause a change in the natural dopamine chemicals of the human brain and cause humans to actively seek out to take care of the cat and nurture the animal in an almost strange case of subtle mind control. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring these intriguing unsolved mysteries with me. If you found the video fascinating, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Unsolved Mystique for more deep dives into unsolved mysteries. Your support helps me bring you more compelling content. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or any mysteries you'd like me to cover next. See you in the next video.